one of the things you should know, there's an iPhone app, there's an iPad app. So if you have an iPad, you can use the iPhone and the iPad app on your iPad, but you can only use the iPhone app for your iPhone. Meaning that if you guys like the way this function of this works, if you want a bigger screen, you can use it on your iPad, so you have it on both. And one of the benefits of the iPhone app is getting in access to the our door. Okay, so right now I'm going to just kind of show you that when you see, I'll get our little pointer, and I'm going to go through all the functions for you guys. And you can stop me and ask me questions any step of the way that you want, since we've got a small group today, which is cool. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all the function of the iPhone app. So first of all, I'm going to start with this bullseye, but well, I'm going to start right here. You see Premax Masters Millennium? That means that you're not logged in. And you see the results here? Every time you make a screen change, it's going to search, and that results are going to be up here of how many properties that are on your screen. Okay? And so it's color coordinated. So every time that you see a search, you're going to see blue, you're going to see different colors here. The most important thing is when you see a slash, that means that at a glance you know that that property is under contract. So if you're looking for active properties, then this gives you a great visual tool of what's immediately. And right now we have kind of a glitch that Apple has created for us, but you can see that if it's 300,000, we're clear. If we're over 1 million, it kind of is doubled up. And so that'll come up on the next release to fix that. But the most important thing is that you guys have to understand that this has 7 MLSs in the database. So when it has Iris or Grand Lake or Grand Junction or Montrose, Colorado, or Pueblo or Colorado Springs or Realtors of Central Colorado, all of that is already in this database. So you don't have to go and search other databases to get accurate information. So how that's helpful is if you have somebody that's an Iris that lists a property in Inglewood and only puts it in Iris, and you search RE Colorado, you're not going to get that information in RE Colorado, but you will get it on the app. So that's a pretty cool function when you're driving around and you see that. So just to kind of give you a heads up on that. So right now I'm only acting as a consumer, and we're gonna log in and show you the differences between what the consumer version is compared to the agent login version. So when you identify a property that you want to look at, it'll come up at the bottom there, and you click on the bottom, and then all that data comes up. So when you turn your phone, once you've got a property, you turn your phone, then it will switch and show you the full screen of all the properties. And the photos are only going to be as good as the photographer on the other end. You can see that this photographer did it themselves and didn't do quite a very good job. But once you have that property identified, the first screen will always come up as the About. And what the About screen is kind of what we have to do on IDX. We have to let people know that this is IDX. So what it means is that it tells you the updated information and the courtesy of what company has this listing, and the source information, and the copyright, and the disclaimer information. Okay? So all of that information is really important, but you see at the bottom of this you have send emails, send SMS. Well, what that shows you is grayed out because the consumer doesn't have that access. You have to be logged in to have that access. But what that gives you the opportunity when you're logged in is that now you can send an email of this information, or you can send a text message of this particular information, which is really a nice feature. So we'll show you how to log in a minute, but I want to go through the whole process. So that gives you what the About button is for. All of the information about this house is in there. The next one is the detailed information. So at a glance, you already know that it was under contract, but here's where the status shows up and when it was last updated, okay? And then it shows you all the information. But right now, you don't get any more information than this because they have to either be logged in as part of your database, of your client base, so that they can get more information. So this is what the IDX rules and is allowed by IDX. The next button is used twofold. When I click on the direction button, it shows me how to get to turn-by-turn directions to that particular property. No matter if it's in Grand Junction or in New York, it'll give you the turn-by-turn directions how to get to that property. So how do you activate that is by this little button at the top. So when you click on that button and saying, okay, I want turn-by-turn, it uses your Apple product inside the Apple product to get you to that location. It always starts at the office or wherever you are. When you open it up, it starts at the office, but if you put on this button, it'll show you from where you are and how long it will take you to get to that property. So if you're talking to a client and saying, I can show you there, I can be there in 15 minutes if the seller would allow me to have that access. And all you have to do is hit the go button and you're right there. So what I normally do is don't hit the go button. You can go back by, in an iPhone 10, it's interesting because you can see how I swiped up, but I'm getting right back to my program that way because I've left the program and I want to get back to the program. So you can just, in most iPhones, you switch up and you get rid of that. It'll take you, excuse me, it'll take you right back to where you were in the program. So if I want to go back to my images, then I can just go back to my images. And again, if I turn it sideways, and you have to have your settings on your phone set that way or else it won't work. So it's not a program issue, it's a settings issue in your phone. So that takes care of that. So then the next one is your contact information. And this is when you guys set the zip codes that you guys want to get leads from. That is where you would get just generic leads directly from Home and Do, because the consumers can click on any one of these people in the office, and what that does is Frank hasn't set much up, but he's got his skills in there and he's got his history. If you have a video in there, the video will show up, okay? But that gives the consumer a choice to contact one of the 3 agents in our office, okay? So again, going back to the about information, it gives you the address, the MLS number, and the price of the property. Anything in blue is always hyperlinked, okay? So when you're logged in and you want to call like the showing, you can do that. So again, I'm giving you the information on all of these buttons. Now I'm going to show you these buttons, okay? And for any of these buttons really to be activated, you have to log in now. So I'm going to go to the Me button first. And so you see that my password and my email is already in there. If you log out, you're going to have to put your password back in. If you just swipe it out and get out of the program, it'll remember your password, so you don't have to remember your password. You know what I'm saying? But if you log out, it's going to wipe out your password because they don't want to have that security. It's a security feature on the phone. So
Jim, quick question about that.
Yeah, yes.
If you don't log out, it's continuing to work in the background and it is using battery?
No, I mean yeah, I mean, I don't feel that that's draining your battery very much because nothing operating is you know, you're not using any of the functions. But it is just like any other swipe. When I go here and I go to any of my programs that are turned on, you know, on an iPhone 10, you have all these programs that are turned on. And so you have to hold it on the corner to get rid of it. So like this. So I get rid of all my programs that are running in the background.
It's swiping it out probably.
Yeah, now this is an iPhone 10. On an iPhone 8, you just swipe it. It does the same thing that this iPhone 10 does it that way. So, you know, if you're used to swiping things away. So as you see, now all my programs are off and I have to log back in. So every time you log in, it shows the consumer this information, okay? So we wanted to give them that results. So as you can still see, I've come back in and I haven't logged in. But I swiped it away, so my password is still there. You see what I'm saying? So now I'm turning it on, and so immediately you know now that you're logged in, and this gives you the ability to go into the main door. And so right here is how you get in access after hours to the office. So when you click on your main, that registers with our computer, opens the door immediately, and you don't have to wait. As soon as you click on that, you can open the door. It'll keep it open for 8 seconds, okay? And it'll lock behind you. You don't have to worry about when you leave, because that door has sensors that'll unlock because you're coming towards the door, and it'll let you out. You don't have to worry about leaving or doing anything, because that's only an entrance access. So now, since I'm logged in, I'm going to go back to the basically what I call our listings.
Quick question.
Yes.
So I've noticed that my phone, I've got an 8, but I'm logged in all the time. Is this what's been draining my battery faster than average? Is being logged in all the time?
I don't think so, because there's nothing running behind. You know, when you're on, because it has to activate to really run the system, you have to be looking at the screen. So, but if you want to test it, then I would just don't log out, swipe it away, so you don't have to use your password, and then now it's not running, and then you can start it. It's a very, very simple process.
I'm waiting for the 10+ second.
Okay. Well, so. Now I want you to go back to the listing screen. That's this screen here, and you click on the listing screen, and it takes you back to the home screen. The only difference from what was before is you see James T. Wanzek there and the results. It takes me back to where I'm at, and it gives now that I'm logged in. So now when I'm logged in here, you guys, is I'm going to pick try and pick the same property. I don't know if it's the exact same property, and I click on this, and so it's information. The differential is a couple things. When I move to the bottom now, you can see that I can send an email or send a text from there. So if I wanted to send a text of this particular property, and I want to send it to Peggy. So Peggy Talbot, now that's her mobile, and I've sent that, and that's all I've had to do, and now I've sent her a text. I can do that the same thing with an email. I don't need, you know, it can be a text or an email. It's just which one you want to decide.
To send that, you hit which button? I'm sorry.
So how to send that? Let's say that we're going to send an email. It generates the email.
Which command? I pulled up the property.
Yep. Now go to the bottom.
Right.
And see it says send email. Bottom of that about page. Okay. You can't send an email without clicking that button or a text. Okay. And then if it's all set up, it goes through your contact list, your clients and your contacts. It's real simple. It's done very fast. Okay, so that's the About page when you're logged in. Now I'm going to go to the Detail page. So remember, we looked at the Detail page when it was a consumer, and they had this information. But now, if you look at it, look at the information. I get the financial information. I get all the information that's in the MLS. I get the levels. I get the bedroom sizes, interior. I get basement, exterior conditions, bedroom descriptions, the location there. I get the schools, and I also get a Google view of that property, which I can then manipulate if I want to, and use my Google view and look at around that property. And the next thing that I can do is I get all the MLS information. So you see how this MLS information, it says, it has the broker remarks in there. It has the current days on the market, the total days on the market. Does everybody know the difference between current days and total days? If it's been listed by another broker and then you took over the listing and you only had it for 9 days but they had it for 180, it's going to add those 9 days to the 180. So that's what that is. It says an exclusive right, cash conventional, and has the original price, kind of some showing instructions. Talks about the co-op right there, and talks about the earnest money, legal description, quick possession. So you have all that information. That's always going to only be on yours. Your consumers will never see that data. That's why it's highlighted in blue. Directions, again, it's the same directions. So just to toggle back from images to directions, it's that third button. So now the key is, the differential here is your listing information. So it immediately, when this person hasn't updated their profile at RE Colorado. One of the things that's very important for you guys is to have a good photo in RE Colorado, because I'm going to show you a lot of reasons why in the next couple weeks why you want to do that.
This is so cool. Will you take me and show me this property?
Yes, ma'am, I will. So what this does is, if you wanted to call the agent, you just hit that and hit call. Okay? It's really simple. If you wanted to email that person, it emails that. It sets up an email and it says about the property that they're interested in talking to that person. So let's say you showed the house. You want to send them a quick email that you found there was a leak going on. That's the easy way to do that, by just hitting that button. Okay? So I got to come back to my program. And I also can call CSS immediately and call them instead of showing. So if I'm driving around, I see that house, it gives me the ability to only have the data in one place as an agent, rather than having to go to different places. And remember, it has all those MLSs in there. Okay? So moving on from your list, it will. Okay, so you always hit, it's kind of the home button is your listing button. So go back to that screen, hit that listing button again, and it'll bring you right back to that screen. Okay, so one of the things that I want to show you is, you see this little bullseye? We haven't gone over that yet. What I'm talking about here is your tracking mechanism, because there might be some times that you want to look in a neighborhood and not have it go back to where you are every time that you're doing some research, and you don't want it to pull it back every time you hit the home button. It's going to take you back to that where you are, okay? But if you have the tracking button off, you could look in Broomfield and still kind of do some things about in Broomfield and show people without then trying to get back to Broomfield. If you have the user position, it'll take you exactly where you are. So a good example is, it's on none and I hit the tracking mode. You see it took me right back to where I'm at. And the other thing is, if you're northernly challenged and you don't know where north is, you can put the compass on north and it'll always pick you to the north position. Okay? So the other thing is you want to know of the different map types. This is simply what Google does. And so now what I can do is I can zero in on where a property is, and it'll show me exactly where that property is. So you can say, yeah, it backs up to a busy street, or do anything like that. So you can gain a lot of information by having your display that way. Clicking on the bullseye, and you say that you have standard, satellite, and hybrid. The hybrid, the only difference between the satellite and the hybrid is the hybrid gives you the street names on that. So I hardly ever use satellite mode because I always want to know where I'm at as much as I can. So I hit back to the standard because standard will always bring me to where we need to be, okay? And so I'm going to turn my user position to none so that I can then go and just zero in. And let's say that you guys, I'm interested, somebody just called me on I want to go to Grand Lake, for example. So I have a home in Grand Lake, so I've been a member for 10 years. We're a member. Any membership that we have in the 7 MLSs that I belong to, that means that you're protected as far as a co-op. So don't ever let anybody tell you, if we're a member of our MLSs, that you're not protected by the commission. You are protected because I've already subscribed to that. And I keep searching and I keep bringing it in, and so I wanted to look at maybe a commercial property, and this one here in Grand Lake is an income commercial ranch kind of a property, and so I wanted to show you that it's courtesy of the Grand Lake MLS. So it's not RE Colorado anymore, it's Grand Lake. So you get that information. They're not as free giving us the information as the information that Jameson Mountain Property is the listing agent. They don't give us all that data in there because they aren't brokerages. Still see all the pictures of this property, okay, in there. So this color right there is a piece of ground. It has several pictures in it, so you can see, and you see how I know that there's several pictures is you see right here there's little dots, so I can go through and so that there's several pictures. You can still do your email text. You can get the detailed information. And the detailed information, again, is not going to be as strong as RE Colorado. So you see the agent information, they give you the legal description. In the world is changing, and we get that data that I have been living for six years. Well, because they just changed, and Summit County me for that data. I had to everyone, National Association of Realtors, the rules that have MLS. And what that means is that you guys now, your home base could be Summit County instead of RE Colorado, because the rules have changed. So you don't even have to belong to RE Colorado. If you wanted to just belong and still be in our office, you can do that, which is a good thing. That's a new rule. Yep. I belong there too. Right. I don't know. Yeah. So the thing about it is that if the information, if one of us belongs, I can get that information to everybody, and that's me. I've got to belong. You can't give me the information. I have to be the broker, and I have to belong, and then I can give it to you guys. Is that clear as mud as far as that is concerned? Well, anytime an agent that's any time that an agent wanted to belong even to Pueblo, I had to belong as the broker. And that's going to change. That's right. It's called, we have Association of Choice. Now we have MLS of Choice.
So because I have been an independent broker in the past, I now have to relinquish that membership as an individual broker to Summit County.
Well, I would fly under the radar as long as you can. Ask for forgiveness, then permission, because we'll get it figured out.
Right. We'll do that.
Yeah.
But then that's an association that if you join it, then.
And I will join. That's not an issue. I mean, you know, I belong to 7, there's 12, and if I belong to all 12, I'd love to do that. Because that means our information is that much more robust for our consumers.
Is that a commitment that you have joining Summit County?
Yeah.
Summit and Park County, which includes that Highway 285 corridor that sweeps Jefferson, Como,
Yeah.
Fairplay.
Yeah. Yeah. But let me just, I want to explain one thing to you guys too, is that because it may not be that important when you're dealing right here in Inglewood, and you know, Iris may have 1 out of 50 or 100 listings, but it becomes, you know, very important when you decide that you wanted to go into Vail or whatever, because look at all the listings we do have. It's not like I don't have listings. It just means that I don't have the Vail listings. I have, excuse me, about 10 to 15%. You can see why I'm going home after this class. Are subscribed to RE Colorado because they know that we're the 50,000-pound gorilla, and they need, if they want to have that access to the front range, to put their listings in here. Okay, so you're seeing a lot of listings in here, and that's going to still say here, even though it's Breckenridge, you see that it's RE Colorado is your, and so this Keller Williams agent said, hey, I want to be able to offer that. They have to be a member, so cooperation has already been offered to you. So in a lot of this database, you're going to see 2 listings really close to each other. That means one's from RE Colorado, one's from the other MLS. Because we don't merge that, we put those. So if you have trouble with the one because you're not getting a lot of data, and the other one, click on the other one, because then you got RE Colorado and you get all the data. Okay? So moving on. So now that I'm logged in, okay, and I've shown you kind of that all the areas. Now, what do these other 2 buttons mean? I can hit my favorites button, and all my favorites on any of the databases, meaning that when you log into the web version and you save a search or you have saved favorites, that will also translate to your iPhone, to your iPad. So you have multiple opportunities to, when you change the database, it transfers to all the one database. So I'm going to just kind of show you like showings for David on 4/1. These are all the showings that I had shown the client before I left, and you can see that this is not a static list. It is it's very active. So even though on 4/18, here's the showings that I showed him, you can see status sold, under contract, under contract, under contract, and there's 1 still available. Okay, out of that. So when he has that favorite list in his database, he can go back and saying, okay, I looked at all these properties, well, there's still 1 available, maybe I want to go back and revisit that property because we might have an opportunity to buy that one because he's kind of seeing or checking that property out. And the same thing with, I can call him and say, hey, David, you remember that one for 465 that we looked at a couple weeks ago? You know, it's still available. Maybe it's time where we can get a little better deal on that property. So those are the kind of things you can use this for. So the nice thing about that, it'll always have your favorites, and you'll be able to go to any database, anything in Home and Do, and you'll be able to see that database and manipulate that database. So one of the things that you have to know is this is a map search, okay? But when we have the online version, that could be done by zip codes and other things. And your zip codes aren't going to be filtered like they would on the web, like you have on your iPhone, because this is a map search. Does that make sense to you guys? Meaning that you can't search by a zip code or subdivision on this. You can do it on the web version, and I'll show you that another time. But so any time that you record a search, a new search is going to show up. So when I have a new search up here, it's because I haven't, I just opened up a search and I didn't rename it, so it stays there until I destroy it, okay? And if you have that and you want to destroy it, you just hit delete, and now it's gone. okay? And so this would be different people that I'm working with. Like say that there's a builder search or there's a new search, or here's a client, Woodruff, and it would have that, and it would always have that search. So it highlights that search, and if I wanted to go back to their search, which says residential active from that price range, and in my searches, on this kind of a program, I don't get very detailed, because the nice thing about this is if I'm only looking from 275 to 400 and I hit the search button, so what I'm going to do is I decide that I want to search for them. I hit that search button right now, and now it says their name up at the top, and I can still zero in anywhere that I want. Is only going to show me that search criteria that they're looking for. So if we're driving around and I see something that's not showing, but a new property's coming up, it's only going to show me those. And remember, there's no red slashes because I've only looked at active properties. So it filters all the other crap out of there. You can really only zero in on the ones that you are interested in, the available properties, so that you're not wasting your client's time. They do that also. So that's how the search button works. If it's activated, it'll highlight that, and you have to hit the search button there. It also, you can add a new search by hitting the search button, and it starts there. So you start by changing the name, and it says new search, but we can just say test 2, and I hit the save, and see now it has test 2 up there. And it starts with all the properties. So I hit on my property, it's got residential income, land, farms, and only, let's say that I only want to look at farms, okay? And so I hit the save button, and so farm shows up as that. And then it has available, sold, and pending. But if I wanted to add solds, I could do that, and I didn't want to take pending. Pending is not a field that RE Colorado has anymore, but it's a field that Iris has, so that and other MLSs have, and that's why it shows up. So if I want refresh or withdrawn or expired, I want to look at our private market, our active market. Those are coming soon for our company. You can be able to search by that. Okay? So those are things that you can all do from that button. So now you can see that I have active, under contract, and sold. If I want to put a price in there, I can put from, you have to put a value in there. If you leave no value on this program and don't go from, whatever to whatever, you're not going to get the best results. So you hit the save button, and so now I have from 25,000 to 700,000. Okay, and if I wanted to put bedrooms, baths, car storage, square footage, drive-by detector, property alert, all those kinds of things, we can show you what that means. Now I have test. I go back to my search. I have the test, and now I want to search the test. So now you can see how test 2 is up there. I don't have anything that shows up. So as I move around the city, it will show up. It's because remember, I only put farms in there. So you can see farms is a different color. And so it's only going to show you. But most of the MLSs here, see, there's all the farms. And that's a category that's used by a lot of other MLSs like PPAR and Grand Junction, that kind of thing. So there's 65 farms in that test. Now, you see that I'm on my test, but I hit my listing buttons, and what happens? It goes back to a wide open search. Okay, anytime I hit that button, it takes you out of the search button and takes you to your search where you were in the past. So if I want to hit my search button, I click my search button and I'm still on the test button. Okay, I can toggle back and forth. Because a lot of times what that might be is I might be driving around and I might want to see a residential listing or something else that is right around me because I'm showing a farm, because RE Colorado might have it, they don't have the farm category, and they might have it under residential. So that's you want to use that program. So now the thing is the mortgage calculator. I've got a bug with my mortgage calculator. Hopefully it will be fixed in the next update. But what you'd be able to do is, once you highlight a property, so let's just highlight one property here, and it's for $2.1 million. Now that's in the system, and I can hit my mortgage calculator, and what it does for you is it starts at 2.1. You can change the loan terms, you can change the down payment, you can change the taxes. The taxes are based on an algorithm. Monthly expenses can be changed, and you can change the loan rate. Once you get all that done and you hit this, it gives you a payment, and then you can email that payment to your client. Okay. We also can have buttons with our preferred lenders that would have just the preferred lenders rates on there, and it would then the lead would go to that preferred mortgage person. So there's a lot of opportunities that I can have on that, but it does have a disclaimer on there so that somebody that might be looking at a 4% owner occupied and they're an investor, it's hey, all these mortgages may not be available, kind of a thing. You learn by trying not to stay out of jail card free kind of thing. So is there any questions? I mean, because I've spent most of the time here on the iPhone.
The mortgage, so I picked a different down payment.
Yeah.
3.5%. And
yeah. Right, because the save button at the top, it should be there and it's not. So it's a bug in the system. So there's other ways you can do that on your iPad, works fine, but on the iPhone there's a bug, and I got to get that fixed. The one thing you guys should know is that now, I don't know if you've noticed in the last couple days, iPhone has another time we have to accommodate that. So I'm constantly fighting the challenge of them changing things and then us having to update. So it's a wonderful world of development. Yes?
Well, I have a question because I just downloaded the app and was trying to register. And it's not letting me.
Yeah, so you need to get with Peggy, okay? Because we can do that through the iPhone or the iPad and register that you're there. Yeah. It's not. Because a register is usually for the consumers. What you do is register through an agent. I know it does. We wanted to make that generic, but see Peggy. She'll get you logged in so that you would have access to that.
Okay. So my other question is, once we are logged in and registered, is there a way to send a link to our clients so that they can download this app? Yes, absolutely. Because you're going to come up with a LinkedIn code that they sign in, so that then whenever they're searching property and they hit the agent, it's going to only be you. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And and so anybody that needs an hour class like you guys, just for sit down with me to get that back basics there, is also, because a lot of times our class may be advanced to other different things. But it's always really good to take some of this information, because this is 6 years of my knowledge that I'm trying to give to you guys. And a lot of times it's not going to be done in an hour period of time, so, okay? What questions do you have?
So it can be shared with clients. We send them a link to install it on their phones. We can text them that link.
Yeah, so when you go to the back office in your back program, you can just say, here's the address. It sends them an automatic link, and it automatically has your LinkedIn code because your profile is set up. You guys haven't set up your profile yet, so websites and all that kind of thing are integrated into that so that everything works together. Okay, so pretty.
Send that link to anybody.
Absolutely, that's right. Well, I mean, they have to download the app, and if they to sign up through the email process is the best. But you can say, hey, download my app, put in the LinkedIn code me, then it links it to you.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, a lot of times join my app. Yeah. And James is here to help with me on those kinds of things too. So I mean, he's our guru on a lot of legal stuff and stuff like that, and so we're really lucky to have him. But he's committed to making sure Home and Do is linked to what we have to do, and he's in that group that we're trying to put together for what we're specializing right now is all your codes for CTM, all your contract codes, so that we get Andy to approve them, and we have one that the office has approved, like a first right of refusal or all that. There's thousands of them out there, and what we're trying to do is clean it up so that it's more specific to our company, and you don't have to say, okay, which one do I use? Use the one that Andy's approved, and then they'll keep us out of jail card too. So, all right, what other questions? Because I've gone over very specific tool, but if you start to use this, you're just have access to that property and be able to, you don't have to worry about, oh, wait a minute, I might be missing something because it is an IRIS, or I might not get it because I'm not a member of PPAR. It's in there. You saw all. Or none of the fields, we don't have farm and ranch in, but I showed you all those farms kind of thing. So it's really a cool tool, and the nice thing about it is for you guys, as you get to know this, I don't go into RE Colorado at all. And our goal is to have Home and Do's coming soon go right to RE Colorado. I'm the only broker in the city is actually working on that, and I'm fairly close. If I can get Eric's attention, he is becoming so big around the Haiti area with Cuba and things like that. He's just building some really cool products. And when I met him 6 years ago, we had 5 developers, and I would get about 80% of his time. Now he has 75 developers. I still have 5 developers, but he won't implement anything unless he approves it. And he was letting somebody else implement it this past week, and we had a crash. And so he's really frustrated. So the last 2 days that he was thinking he was working on our upgrades, he's had to work on fixing a major crash in the source code that our program is written on. So, thank you. Yeah, just what did you want to
Did you guys see that? The website you get Home and Do?
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
You can use that. See, it's got the moving theme behind it.
Right.
Several different choices, all in it. What? Yeah. And the nice thing about it is, see,
Once I register.
No.
I'm like, why did you?
Yeah. That's exactly right. I try to be not the leader of the band, the orchestrator, okay? But sometimes I get excited about to show you all those kinds of things. So you two, even Spencer, you need to spend an hour with me or James and let him go over the introduction of all that kind of stuff, because the nice thing about this is that if you make a change on your profile, different picture or whatever, it changes all your websites, all the company websites. You're making one thing, and it's really important for you guys to build your foundation so that when you have Remax.com, if you look at Remax.com and mine, I link back to Home and Do, and so I take advantage of the 30 million sites that they have, and if somebody does land on me, then they can come to my personal Home and Do website. So it really is important for SEO, search optimization, because one of the things that Eric just bought or merged with another company is advertising search optimization, and we've had the benefit of a very knowledgeable guru on Google and Facebook, and he has taught Kendra who you need to meet, because Kendra does all of our Facebook advertising, our social media, links to what we do as far as destination any city in Denver, and if you're working in a certain area, then you can of a Remax Masters destination, like a destination Franktown, Littleton, all of those cities that she's all the time, and her job, but then if you're posting to it, then the people are going to see your name, and then, hey, I'm going to go to that guy because he's posting on it, even though it's Remax Masters, so you can piggyback off of our company. There's a lot of tools here, and if you take the tools out of the toolbox, you're going to be very happy. If you just don't use them, then what happens is just like anything else. You know, they sit idle and they rust. So, thanks for coming today, you guys.